Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 20020 Southwest 94th Place here in Tualatin. We're located at the front of the house. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the home in general. So we're in the concrete here, pretty much right between where the house itself meets up with the garage. Straight out from that seam, you've got a 3-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out here at the base of the cleanout. Just dropping in, looking in. Looks like there may be a little bit of standing water in the line. We'll see how this drains out. If there's anything here, it's going to be a very, very minute amount. Yeah, I was going to say, just dropping it. I felt like there was some resistance in front of me. We've also got a secondary clean out in the driveway. Let's see if... And we'll take a look at that here in just a second, once it's all drained. You do have a belly in the line there. And then going into another one here. Ooh, this is what I was referring to a moment ago with the secondary clean out. You got rocks in the line here. I can safely get over this. And so what this is, I believe it's referred to as ductile iron. You don't see this stuff very often. It's extraordinarily strong pipe. It's almost overkill for residential. And there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's stuff you can park a semi-truck on top of it and it doesn't bend or bow. It looks like we do have, yeah, it looks like there's rocks in the line out at this point here. So this is a line that's going to require some jetting and a rescope. Those areas are kind of hard right now to tell if you've got standing water there at all. And if there's enough space between the pebbles, we might actually see it, the water percolates all the way through. Holy cobwebs. And the line ties into the manhole. It's like out here in the cul-de-sac. I got those little butters off my camera lens. Alright, we're going to go turn the water off here and let the line drain out for a moment. Yeah, they're still on there. Sorry, this new system of mine, if I pause the camera, I can't see the video goes dead on me, so... Located the camera head. Line terminates out on the Southwest 94th Place, and it ties into the manhole that's pretty much smack dab in the middle of the cul-de-sac. There's another one that's a little bit further away from the house. It's not that one. It's the one that's closer in, and pretty central to in the middle. You even got chunks of concrete in the line there. So the line certainly needs a hydrojet. And then a rescope. Want to make sure that stuff's all been blasted out of the pipe there. Sometimes you even have to go to the second effort of clearing it out of the manhole. Then you go blasting that stuff out of the pipe. It ends up usually getting hung up in the manhole, which is great. It gets it away from the house here, but it can also cause a system-wide backup if you don't get it cleared out of there. It can actually clog the manhole and back up multiple houses, so I'm sure the builder knows that. It's a pretty common thing to have to do to vacuum out those manholes sometimes. Now, spots like this right here, we still have a little bit of water trickling through the line. This one's going to take a little bit to drain out because of the obstructions in the line right now. Standing water this far out from the house, stuff like this is not something I'm terribly concerned about. It's extremely minor. Although I often still recommend, in fact, I'm going to go locate. Something like this is unlikely to persist and progress. I'm going to see where it's at, though. I believe Tualatin takes responsibility in the roadway, and this might be at that point. Yeah, I'm picking up a signal. I remember this issue last time. I rarely have to locate in this stuff. This pipe material shields a locate signal in a incredible way. I can barely pick a locate up, but I am picking that up out in the street. I don't believe we've run into the secondary cleanout access anyway, so the only reason I say that, that's not something on its own there I would recommend fixing, not unless it progressed, and you'd have to wait and see. You know, I usually recommend re-scoping at about the 9-month mark into a 1-year warranty to check for any progression on minor stuff like that. It happens only a handful of times, but I do catch them from time to time where you get progression. Typically speaking, most settling happens almost immediately after a line is buried, but sometimes you will get progression. But if it's in the roadway and city territory, I would double check on that. City stipulations can change year to year. But, you know, if it's city responsibility in general and it does progress, which I think is unlikely to occur, either way it would fall into someone else's territory. But it's only maybe 2 to 5% of scopes I do for a warranty inspection that I actually see progression on. It's pretty uncommon. And usually it's in conjunction with bad pipe joints, where the joints are open to the ground and they're sucking dirt through them and eroding the support out from under the line. But what's interesting about this is that the house next door, I had almost I want to say almost an identical belly just prior to the secondary access point. So this one dissipates off here at about 19 feet is where the water finally drains off completely. Alright, and I'm going to take a photo of this one in the event, for whatever reason, it doesn't get corrected. And this is one I do recommend fixing. It's closer proximity to the house, and don't get me wrong, it is not the largest belly in the world. But it's one I'd like to see corrected. It's a newer house, or brand spanking new, not newer. Interestingly enough, it's almost in the exact same location. I mean, when you look at this house and the house next door to each other, it's in about the exact same spot as the other one. Anyway, on the picture you're going to see my paint can and my locate. Where the pistol grip of my locator handle is in the picture is where the belly begins. The bummer of this one is it spans a couple different squares, and the one next door was, I think, under just one square in general. But you're only about 1'9", 1'10" deep. It's quite shallow. You know, and if repairs don't happen on that, I would certainly re-scope to check for any changes with that before the warranty is up. I've got standing water going back toward the home here too. Yeah, probably just a little cobweb there. Now this one here, you've got an inch of standing water, and I'm afraid this one may actually go back into the house. Foot counter a little monkeyed up here. We're going to re-zero. That's definitely not 9 feet. The belly starts at the clean out and extends back. I'm picking this locate up. I lose sight of it right on this turn. It looks like the belly stops immediately after you go through that turn right there. That's right as the line turns to go into the house. It's hard to tell if that belly stops just under the foundation wall. I'm up so close to the front of the house here. It's kind of hard to gauge. It either stops right at the foundation wall, it may extend just barely underneath it. I'm getting about 1'6" there. So, same thing in this photo here. I'm going to take a photo, I'll also show it with the camera in just a second. And I'm I'd recommend both those spots be corrected there on top of jetting the line to get all the rocks and debris out of the pipe. So anyway, it runs from the base of the clean out back to about there. Once that line fully turns and starts to straighten out to go back through there is where the belly stops. And then real quick, just so it's easier to eyeball in the event the pictures don't get texted onward, I'm going to push out here and do the same thing with this one real quick. I just got to reposition everything. And obviously I would recommend relocating this if you do any digging. I don't want to put paint down on all this sealed up concrete in the event for whatever reason it doesn't get corrected. I would recommend these get fixed, but I don't want to go stain in the brand new concrete. So this one, in fact, I'll back up here so you can get a little nicer shot of that. There's the garage door. Starts at the pistol grip handle and extends to the paint can there. And the locator, by and large, is oriented the direction. It's pointing the direction that pipe runs there. Anyway, after any repairs are done, I do recommend re-scoping. It's very important to do that. One, to check, make sure the line was cleared out properly. Two, make sure that the bellies were corrected. You want to do that post trench being closed, not previous to it. These bellies probably would have looked totally fine before there was weight put on top of them. That's often the case. You want to check that after there's weight on top of it. The best way to do it is to compact the ground, get it ready to pour concrete, and scope it. That way there's a load on top of it. In the event it settles on you again, you can correct it before there's concrete back over the top. Anyway, aside from that, the rest of the line here appears to be in good shape, but we do have some spots in the line that are hard to assess at the moment because of the rocks in the pipe, but they look like they're going to let water drain free once the debris is out of the way.